Hello everyone, hope everyone's doing okay. Just turn down the desktop audio there a little bit. And take it down for myself a little bit too, it's going to drive me nuts. Hang on, I can't myself think. How's everyone doing? Hello. How is everyone doing? Welcome to tonight's live stream. We are live and we are doing question time. A chance for you to ask any question you want to ask about Unreal Engine, game dev, or anything you really want at all. All you got to do is to put your question into chat and we'll try and grab as many questions as we can within the hour or so of what we're going to be doing here live. So yeah, start flooding the chat with your questions. I'll be reading a couple that have come through already, which is great. Hopefully the aircon isn't making too much noise. Let me know. I can try and do something on it. But it's very hot in here. Yeah, it's very warm. You can tell like how bad. But let me know if the fan is kicking out too much noise, and I'll see if I can noise gate it out. Hopefully it's okay. Okay, so let's jump straight into it, because I saw a couple of questions regarding like a convoy type of thing. There's actually numerous ways you can actually approach this problem. So let's just jump in and do like a little landscape here. So with the convoy, I'm going to guess that what you're trying to do is like have like a leader, essentially the leader of the pack, the convoy of the pack, leads where everyone else is going, and everyone's going to follow the path, but not pinpoint accurate. They're just going to follow that way. Yeah. So let's just do this. Let's just take out that buggy floor there. And take out the walls as well. There we go. Okay, so first things first is your nav mesh. So as I said, a couple of ways about doing what you want to do. So for example, you could do a nav mesh and then put modifiers around a map, which will make the mesh more expensive to traverse if they want to traverse that way. So that's a more naturalistic sort of approach to it. So, for example, here, I'll do I'll say small, a smallish size nav mesh here. But let's say we're doing pathing and we want to do like a road. We wanted to follow a road. You could accomplish that with nav mesh modifiers if you wanted to as well. Now, you should really do the long route of making a road actor, which then can place nav mesh modifiers along the road. Also, any sort of I think decals can also affect nav mesh. I could be wrong. Let me try it out. I can't remember now. So if I change this to decal, I'm gonna just test that out. Yeah. Let's make an actor with that. Just gonna, for my sake, just be curious because I can't remember. Decal. You can just affect navigation. You can't do anything else with. Okay, no. Okay, so you can't do that. But yeah, you could make it so it plants nav mesh modifiers if you wanted to around it as well. But you can also do the spline method. The spline method is you indicate a spline of where you want the convoy to go. So let's say our convoy is going to go from the top corner to the other corner. So let me make a actor here. Let me just take out this one, and I'll just put like a cube. This would be our quote-unquote convoy. There we are. It can't be an actor. We have to make sure it's a pawn. So we go to class default, class settings. Sorry, change this to pawn, like that. Okay, and I want this to be over here-ish somewhere. Importantly, though, when you are making your own sort of actors, be it like vehicles or anything else like that, you want to make sure it's not affecting, like blocking navigation like this. Otherwise, they won't be able to move. So do make sure you go into the mesh settings, whatever primitive you're using, and turn off can ever affect navigation. Turn that off. Okay. So now it can. People see it as itself, and it can go ahead and do whatever way you want. So yeah, if we wanted it to traverse towards a destination, okay, so I want to go somewhere else over there in the top corner. So I'm just make a route here. We'll make an actor, put route, route, and we'll add a spline to it. Oh, there's a spline never modifier. Cool. Okay, that'll do the job. That must be fairly new. Okay, that's handy. Let me take a look at that. That'd be exactly what you kind of want. I'm going to guess we need a spline on it. So let me put a spline back on it. Spline modifier, nav modifier, spline. Okay, so that's nulling it. If I make that obstacle, or yeah, there's obstacle for now. How does that work then? I've never used this before. Update navigation data? No. Do I have to set... It says nav modifier spline. Okay, do I have to just set that to there? So if I drag out that on the construction... Set nav modifiers... No, not right. Set... No, what have they called it? Nav modifier spline. It should do, yeah. If true, any change to the spline components on this actor will cause this component to update nav mesh. This will be slow if the spline has many points or nav mesh is sufficiently large. Okay, so that should work. So why the hell is that not working? Ooh. I won't get too distracted. But that's cool. If that works, I don't know why it's not working, but that'd be cool if it did work. Do I have to attach this? No, I can't attach it. Nav modifier spline. A spline component which will navigate, it must also be attached to this component's owner actor. I wonder if I can put the spline nav modifier on here. Give that a spline route. Just curious if I were to select that. No idea. Okay, I guess it's not a finished thing. I ain't got a clue. Yeah. Okay, we'll do it the way I was going to do it. So, yeah, on the route here, I'll get rid of that now. And get rid of it on here. Yeah, so on the route here, we want our convoy here to follow that route. Okay, so obviously we need to give it the route reference, which is this. You make sure it's editable, and when you place it into your scene, you can attach the two together. And won't make it go dead straight line. We'll make it do something funky. That'll do. Okay. So that's our convoy. Okay, the route it's going to take. And our convoy here, we're going to select the route it has there. And we want this just to follow it. Now, we want it to not follow it ridiculously tight. We do want it to have some sort of leeway around it. So you've got to think of it as like a path with like width to it. So what I care about here is when I'm finding the route for this thing, the route for this thing. Let's say we have a custom event here to start moving. I won't do anything too complex. I'll just do AI move 2. The pawn will be yourself. But the destination here, we are going to get the route. And here I want to get the location on the spline closest to my location. Okay. So I'm going to get the spline from that. Oop. Closest, and we're going to find location closest to world location. Then here we get actor location. So it's going to find relatively where it is on the spline, close enough to it. And we want this to be world coordinates because we're using AI Move 2, which uses a world coordinate system. So we want it to go to that position. But now we want to project into a direction that we want it to go into. So now I want to get the same thing, but this time I want to project into a direction of the direction I want the spline to go. So if I get the spline here, another thing I could do is get direction closest to world location. Plug that in there. And this direction here I can multiply by a distance. Okay. So to float, we'll do, I don't know, 500? Sure. And we're going to add these two together. That gives us our destination, roughly. Okay. Alternatively, another thing you can also do is, with that location there, is now go and do find random, get random reachable point in radius. So you put that as your origin, and then the radius is like the width of the path that you want to do. So let's say it's a 200 wide radius on that, and that'd be our destination we want to do there. Okay, and on success, we're going to take it to start moving again. Like that. Okay, so yeah, let's simulate it. And, oh, I didn't take it to actually start the movement, did I? Didn't actually take it to do start moving. So, begin play, start moving, yeah. No, you don't want to do. Start moving. Oh. World space. That should be right. Double check that. Oh, it hasn't got any movement component. Sorry, my bad. We'll do floating pawn movement. Max speed. We'll do something slow-ish. There we go. Okay, so it's going to follow the path roughly, not perfectly, along the way. Right. Yeah. So pretty basic thing to do. And then what you do is, with everyone that wants to walk alongside the convoy, they're not following a random path themselves. They're following this thing. And so they'll be attached to that, and will want to follow that. And if they ever get stray away from the convoy, the lead of the convoy, they will want to run back to the convoy. Okay, so they always know where roughly it was or is. There they go, and it's finished. So something like that would be fine. You can also do, I say, there is nav mesh modifier ways of doing it as well. So you can make the path to walk a lot cheaper too. So, I mean, if that spline nav modifier worked really well, that would be great, but it's not going to. Let's I'm going to quickly, I want to check something. If I do spline nav modifier, no, sure. Actually, no, let's just do low height. Update navigation data. So I wonder if it only shows during the actual game. If I do, I can't have to do it actually in game. No. We should see like modifiers on it, but I guess that function doesn't work. I'll look into it. That's kind of cool if it did work. But you'd make that path cheaper for it to go along. But yeah. But yeah, that's a way of doing it. There's, I say, a gajillion ways of doing it. But experiment, try it out, see what kind of things you want to do. If you wanted it to, by the way, its orientation to follow the direction it's going in, we just need to take it to do that. So if I did, I don't think it's on here. No. So double check. I don't think it's a. Oh yeah, use controller rotation yaw. You can use that if you want. Alternatively, you can also put on the tick, because we're floating pawn movement, not character. You will have to make it rotate towards that. but for now, that will follow the path, kind of. It's just will be snappy for you to have that boolean on. If you want it smoother, don't have it on. Turn off the rotation yaw. And instead, on the tick event, you want it to update the rotation all the time. So this is something that's on the character component. So if it's a character, you don't have to worry about it, just tick it on in a character. But this is not a character. So in this case, you have to do set actor rotation. And we're going to do interp 2. And then we'll disconnect that. And I only care about the yaw. So I'm going to just split that up there. Put the yaw in. Current would be actor rotation. And the target will be the control rotation. Like that. Delta time. And speed. Well, let's do 2. That will now give us a smoother turning of the vehicle. Yeah. Cool. But experiment, see what else you can come up with there. I say there are loads of ways of doing the same sort of thing. Think about your needs for your project and design for those. Anywho. Question from Matshish. In the UI, when you use the option to shear an angle, the UI becomes pixelated. Is there a way to fix that? Not really, no. it's not very good, this shearing thing. If you are going to shear an object, make sure it's high enough resolution and then scale it down. So when it shears, it will have more information to shear it with. If you use the default sizing, it may be it may be worse, but no, there's nothing else around that. Dremia79, hey Ryan, how's the gameplay test going? Okay, good. So news on that front. I fixed the problem. So I fixed why it wouldn't load up on it kept crashing. It took ages. So we're back again tomorrow night for another playtest on Mimic, and hopefully we fix some of the major replication bugs we're seeing with movement. I'm rethinking a little bit of the Android attack and animation stuff as well, so that's going in there. Trying to account for different variations of positions is quite difficult, so we're going to work on a system to hopefully handle that. It'll be quite a bespoke system, so figuring one out live. But a part of that will hopefully we'll be using some sort of motion matching-esque type design things. Maybe a simplified version of it anyway. But yeah, that'd be quite cool. Hey Ryan from FFan. I am too a Final Fantasy fan. Found your tutorials about sequence are very useful. Any chance you might do one about how to assign player or enemies as sequence actors dynamically, so we can play animations of them? Yes, I've done it already. It's on the channel. Just look up cinematic combat camera. I can't remember what I called it now. Something along those lines. Check out those videos. You'll see how to do that. It's using the binding manager. But yeah, check them out. Fruit Fun Fitness, coming from Unity, I frequently get surprised at how sparse the UE documentation is. Yeah, it's very much... Epic do rely a lot on crowdsourcing their documentation, which is really frustrating, because I had this problem today, actually. When they update stuff, they don't document it, so it becomes a pain in the butt when you go into, say, the new retargeter system and realize that they've got rid of the chain mapping as it's now something else. It's like, okay, right, I've got to figure out where that is now. So, and obviously when you look for it online, there's no hint or glimmer of any documentation about it or any notice of the changes. Yeah, found it in the end. Yeah, it can be a nightmare, but yes, they heavily rely on crowdsourcing the documentation, which to an effect is good, but it does mean you get varying degrees of quality, depth, and breadth. Omega Lunatic, hey Ryan, haven't been in here a while. Just want to know how you would go about creating a day-night cycle whereby the night still has some visibility, but with that blue filter movies usually do. Sure. So a day-night cycle, we'll do a very simple one. I've done a video on day-night cycles, so pretty simple. All you got to do is modify the directional light, especially if you're using lumen or mega lights. It makes this a doddle. So on the variables here, I want to get the directional light, and we'll call that directional light and make that editable. And for sake of arguments, I'm not going to do the whole clock thing. I'm just going to make it change over time. So I want my light's rotation here to change like constantly. So on the tick here, we're going to do set rotation, do active rotation of the directional light. And the new rotation is going to be, ooh, good question. Let's have a look. So it'll be the Y axis. So let's do that. We'll just do split that, and we'll do get actor rotation, and we're going to split that, add onto it this multiplied by, I don't know, let's start with 1. Okay, I don't know how fast this will actually be. So yeah, we're going to drag in our day-night cycle, boom, and set the directional light to it. We should see the sun move. Yeah, it's moving. Going down. Okay, so that's the day-night cycle. I might speed up a little bit, but that's the day-night cycle. Now, to get that different tinge of an effect at nighttime, because obviously it is very dark out here, that is by modifying your post-processing, essentially, of the scene and what kind of lighting you want to do. So, as well as changing that directional light there, you may want to have another directional light, which would be your quote-unquote nighttime light. So, you got that way. You can say post-process way. Let's do the moonlight light version, because that's quite an interesting solution to that one. So, I'll make a duplicate of this directional light here, and it's going to be mirrored in every way. So, we're going to rotate it 5 degrees, no, that's location, 12 degrees, no, I'll just estimate like that. Okay, so it's the complete opposite. And we'll make the light of this one a lot lower, so intensity we're going to put 0.5, and the light color of this we're going to put as blue-esque, like that, maybe a bit paler, like that. And go back to my day-night cycle, and we'll do the same thing again. We'll do night light. Bum 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 bum. I'll show you the other way of doing it as well with post-processing. Okay. So let's test that out. So that sun's going to go down. That's where our directional light default. Oh no, I didn't actually set the light, did I? Yeah, there you go. Whoops, I didn't make it editable either. Editable. There we go. Oh, I didn't actually. Oh, God's sake, I'll stop doing that. Directional light 2. Okay, so this is a way of doing it. Probably not the most efficient method, because obviously you're dealing with 2 directional lights, which is relatively expensive, especially for the atmosphere. As you can see, you get that warning. That's going to bring that light up there. You can see now it's lighting the scene up a little bit with that blue sort of tinge to it. But there's that. The other thing, as a way of doing this, is with post-processing. So let's go ahead and do that. So the post-process method, we'll go post-process. And in here, I want to, best if you have this on the screen at the same time, because you can see kind of what it's going to look like. Also, let me change the lighting a little bit too. Nighttime. I'll get rid of the other directional light. There you go. Yeah, so if we go into the post-process volume for this thing, we want to make sure it's unbound, first of all. So let's do that. Yeah, unbound, good. And then we want to mess about with things like the gamma, and then color correction with color grading. So let me just search for gamma. There it is. And we do global. And we're going to whack that up a lot there. Might need some light on it though, regardless, because it's not going to show anything, is it? So that's the gamma doing that. You see how it's like making it stronger? I think we do need a little bit of light. So I'm thinking what we want to do. Maybe we do want 2 directional lights then. But you need something. It would be like moonlight, I guess. I guess you could also put moonlight in there the whole entire time. It just gets blown out massively. So this would be moonlight. Change it back down to like 1.1. Change that to that sort of blue there. I don't like having 2 directional lights, but so you need a light of some sort. I mean, maybe that's it. It has to be like this. But this, you want to probably put in a blueprint as well to make it so it turns it off and on its intensity, at least, based upon the rotation of this one. So as this one becomes positive, yeah, as it becomes positive, which is nighttime in the wire, you want that to turn up. So if I make that a new thing in here, actually I could, no. Yeah. Again, I don't like 2 methods. For now, that's the way to do it. I don't like it because it's 2 directional lights, and that's a problematic thing. You'll get this problem for forward shading. So you can fix that by changing the directional lights forward shading priority here. You want this to go higher, is it? Can't remember now. Change it to 1, that'd be fine. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, in the day-night cycle, we take that and we set the intensity and we'll just do a select on it. We'll say if this is positive, he'll pick 0.1 and this one will be 0. So at night time we get this blue light, which is a bit hard to see. I've made it a bit too plain. I should actually speed it up as well. Oh, I also set it as well. Day, night. There you go. Let's speed up. 10. Okay, so let's wait for dawn. Shouldn't hopefully take that long. Oh, there's a little convoy going off. And I just like a selector, so you could also do that on like a curve if you wanted to as well. Is it going to become dawn yet? Let me just make it dawn by default, like I had it before. Right, night time. Happens. There you go. So yeah, there you go. That's a way of doing it. Yeah. So essentially, that's what you can do. Jason Mordis, could you just make the moon rotate opposite the sun, so when the sun resets, the moon rises? I mean, you could do. It's not realistic, as that's what happens in real life, but you could do. Yeah. Also, could you explain what a game mode is? So I'm trying to have one player be RTS and a player 2 to be third person. How that be accomplished with a different game mode for each player? So it can't have 2 different game modes for each player. You have to make your own custom game mode to handle both. You can only have 1 game mode per level. So what you're referring to is going to be very much the game mode isn't going to be that important for that one. It's going to be mostly dealt by camera, character, controller, that sort of thing. But you'll have to. Your controller will need to be able to, like you need to have 2 separate things for each one. You're basically making 2 games in one. But the game mode itself, you can't have 2 separate ones. It can only be one. So combine it all together. Yeah. Shot combo. Hi Ryan, I have a non-editor work conceptual question. As someone who doesn't know a coding language, I've always struggled conceptually with programming, structure and communication concepts. What metaphors would you like to explain things, would you use to explain things like interface communication or creating structure organization for a weapon system for a character with the ability to switch weapons? Thank you. Oh, right, okay. So I tend to use a lot of analogies when I'm explaining it to people in like private lessons, and you'd be surprised how often I use the analogy of like a kitchen to compare like all the other stuff that we do in here. So, for example, when dealing with communication, interfacing is like the head chef shouting out and then hoping that whoever needs to hear it is going to hear it and pay attention to it. Yeah. So if the head chef shouts out, "I need 3 chicken breasts," it's going to shout it out. It doesn't know who's listening. It hopes that someone's listening, but the person in charge of chicken breasts knows they're in charge of chicken breasts, so they're listening out for the head chef saying it. That's the binding. They bound that event to that. So when they hear it, the chef doesn't know. He's going to be like, this is more like event dispatchers. He doesn't know. He's going to shout it out. And then the other chef is going to prepare the breast and give it to the chef. So that's like event dispatchers. Interfacing would be like telling someone can you pass me that? Yeah, so you can pass me that. Yeah, you're telling someone, can you pass me that? Or can you essentially, can you pass me that? The context of which is very vague. It doesn't need any context on it. It's up to the person receiving that command to interpret what it should do. Yeah, so maybe it's like thinking, okay, well, you've asked me, I'm in charge of chicken breasts, so therefore I'm going to give you a chicken breast. Yeah, it could be something like that. But I tend to use that analogy quite a lot, the kitchen analogies. Um, like a structure would be like a burger, basically. So you have different layers and the structures all together, and built there. If you want to swap piece out, you can do that. Um, yeah, potentially that's what it is. Um, but for like a weapon system for a character with ability to switch weapons, so like if you were thinking of it as okay, you using again back in the kitchen using different utensils. Okay, so using a spatula and you want to change it out for some tongs. When you're doing weapon switching, okay, so first things first is you need to put down the one you are currently using. Okay, so that's the steps involved. So step involved, I need to put down the option and put it away. Okay, and then I'm gonna pick the other one up. Now the question is, now is the one I'm putting down, is it going down in the wild? Am I just dropping it on the side on the table and letting anyone else pick it up and see it and use it? That's a choice I can make. Or am I putting it on my belt or whatever? I'm just putting it in my pocket. I don't know. What am I doing with it? That's going to be key. Yeah. So if I'm just putting it in the world, I can just drop it into the world and away it goes. If I put it on my person, then I need to put it somewhere in my person and just keep it hidden. So in my pocket, something like that, that'd be fine. Now if there's something special about it, so like it's got I don't know, like in a gun sense, it'd be like ammo. You want to have ammo on it, and storing that information needs to be stored somewhere. Okay, you can't just be left into the ether. So the information has to be stored somewhere. So you can either put like a little tag on it. So imagine you putting a sticker on the utensil and putting it in your thing, and that tag will be like a gameplay tag or a string or a value or whatever. You put it on your thing. Yeah. If you were to say, okay, I'm done with this utensil, I'm going to delete it and put it in the trash can. And put it in the trash can, cool. Now, if I wanted to get another utensil, I have to go to the cupboard, get another one, blah, blah, blah. Very wasteful. It's actually more efficient if I just keep using that same one over and over again. But it may be a bit dirty. You may want to clean it up. So therefore, you may want to throw it away. Or maybe you need to build a function that washes it clean and wipes off all the dirty variables that it has on it. So you build functions to handle that. Yeah. Kitchen analogy works great for a lot of things. I don't know why. It just tends to help me a lot. Necro Farm. Hi Ryan. Is it better to make a stalker enemy in horror game with state or behavior trees? As of 5.6, it does not matter. At all. It depends on what you're comfortable with. If you're more comfortable with behavior trees, do it in a behavior tree. If you're more comfortable with state trees, do it in a state tree. There's not going to be much difference and benefit for you in that scenario. Yeah. Whatever you're most comfortable with is going to be the answer to that one. And that's going to be the answer to a lot of these things as well. Like a lot of things like, should I use motion capture or should I use hand-drawn animation or hand-created animations? Again, comes down to what you're most comfortable with. Yeah. Go for your comfort level more so. Storing the weapon data in a data table and drawing that info into the base class and pick and play, but no idea if that's the right way to do things. Can be. Just remember the data table though is locked. You can't change anything in it, so don't expect it to be like storing values in there. It's literally just to get you a setup. So back to our kitchen analogy, it would be like having a recipe book, yeah, and the data table is each page in the recipe book. It has all the information in it. I can't change nothing about the information. If I want to change it, I have to take it out of the book first and then do something with it. Yeah. Yeah. Harvey, hello, how are you? I'm okay, thank you. Very hot, but I'm okay. And busy too. By the way, I spent the day fixing some stuff on the website now. So if you've tried and you have seen this problem or you don't know about this yet, so I offer private training sessions and group sessions, things like that. And I've built a system now on the marketplace and put together not marketplace onto my website. Previously to today, email notifications weren't working, so people weren't getting any confirmation about the bookings. That's fixed. It should be coming through now. So if you have book sessions or about to book sessions or want to book sessions, you should get email notifications. If you don't, just let me know, just so I can double check it. It should work. My tests have worked, so hopefully it works there. Let me have a look at the questions here. USP 45 master. That's okay if you want to be able to have player data. You want the base stat of the player weapon data. Yeah. Anything you want to edit, you put in a save game file. Your save game file is like a working notebook of what's going on in the game. So you're just keeping it all together. Yeah. It often helps me to understand also a lot of programming concepts, especially when it's new things I haven't encountered before. Of thinking of like real life analogies. It helps me contextualize it a lot better, and build an understanding a lot easier. But yeah. Okay. Look. Anything else? Congrats on the official set. I was officially set ages ago, but thank you. Okay, let me see up here if there's any other questions. Truly harder for open worlds. Is it better to use one large cold distance volume or one for each location within the level? So if you're doing a very large open world partitioning will do all that for you. So you don't have to really worry about it. So you understand what world partitioning is. So here's a world partitioning. Okay. So this allows you to do massive worlds because what it does, it loads up in cells. So I could have large environments spanning the whole entire map, and it will load it in as each cell becomes relevant. Okay, so not necessarily culling required, as LODing and nanite and things like that will help with that, but world partitioning will handle that automatically for you, so you don't really have to worry about it too much. If you do want to go the route of having a cold distance volume, which is the old school way of doing it, yeah, totally can. You can do, just need to, obviously, you want to have one for each location within the game, each zone, area, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Look else up here. Hi Jason, good to see you popping up in chat again. I'll show you something quick and easy. If we go into the UI thing, just because I was doing it today, I'll show you this. So let's say I put a border in, okay, and I want this border to have rounded corners, right? So I have it a rounded box, and then yeah, I'll leave it like that. Why not? But I want this to have sort of like pixelization sort of effect to it. So you could make your own custom UI materials and textures if you wanted to. That's totally cool. But a cheap way of doing it as a quick fix is a retainer. So if you don't know what retainers are like post-process volumes, but for UI, essentially. So you need to make a material for it. And the material will be a UI material still. But you also want to make it translucent. And the main important thing here is you need a texture sample parameter. And so this will be called texture. but make sure it's called whatever it is called here. So texture parameter here, called texture. So that'd be cool. We'll put that in there like that, and we'll put the alpha in like that. So if I just leave that as sure plain one like that, totally fine. And we go back to my widget material and apply that material to it. Okay, it'll look exactly the same. But let's say I wanted like to tweak it any kind of way. I could tweak it as well by multiplying it by a color like that, and we'll choose, I don't know, red. Okay, and you get red. Okay, so you can do some pretty cool effects with this. So if you want to do a pixelization effect, one thing you could do is you take the texture coordinates here, multiply it by a scalar value of, say, I don't know, 64, seal it or floor it, either one, and then divide by 64, and then plug it into the UVs. You get a cool pixelization effect. It's not perfect because obviously anti-aliasing and it's not exactly lined up with size-wise, but it's pretty cool. And it's a quick, easy way of adding the sort of like pixelization effect to it. And what you can really do that's really cool about this is that this 64 can also be put on like a curve or a thing to make it animate as well. So for example, I'll put a time into a sine wave and then lerp that between there and there. We'll clamp it as well. And I put 64 into there and leave the other one at just 1. Okay. What you'll get,